Hey there, fellow seekers, and welcome to episode 26 of I'm Just Gonna Say It. Today we're gonna talk about what it means to be spiritual and what it doesn't mean, and the pitfalls and errors a lot of people make in this process. Uh, let's get right to it, so here we go with episode 26. Start off with the difference between religion and spirituality. One can be spiritual without being religious, and you can be religious without being spiritual, unfortunately. And it seems that the latter has become more and more the case these days. Now, in the beginning, there was only spirituality. Since the beginning of man, he has sought to imbue his life with deeper meaning, so to speak, and searched for that which we now call spirit or soul within himself. I guess intuitively or intrinsically sensing its presence, you could say. And as man evolved, he started doing this in a communal fashion, or an organized fashion, whichever way you want to call it, which gave birth to religion. Now, by design, however, religion has within itself a power over the masses that dooms it to a stinking end, so to speak. Power always corrupts, and not surprisingly thus, religion became an institution in and of itself, developing into a tool for mind control and appeasing the masses. So even though it sprouted from spirituality, it has since then diverged from its original purpose, at least on the organizational level, now wrought with dogma and very worldly stakes. And statistics show that on the level of the practitioner, things aren't that much better, unfortunately. With religion, most of the time serving as a soother of fear instead of a searchlight for the spirit, to put it nicely. Anyway, as for the whole God question, whether you believe in such a creator or not, it doesn't influence your ability to be spiritual, in my opinion. In practice, most spiritual people are or do believe in some higher purpose or working behind everything, but they tend to refer it not as God but as the universe, or the all, as I prefer myself. This because this term covers everything it should without making any more assumptions on it. It's just everything. It's that simple. Anyway, this all in order to escape the old school image of a paternal, all-knowing father figure sitting up there in the clouds, laughing his ass off and stroking his long white beard. Confusing the tools with the practice is the next thing I want to discuss. Crystals, tarot cards, meditation, Tibetan singing bowls, and God knows what. They can all be very valuable tools on your spiritual journey, but you can travel the path without those tools just as well. Spirituality is not defined by its tools, as they differ per person. And someone, therefore, who says, "Oh, look how spiritual I am! I meditate, I do crystal therapy, and mumbo jumbo, jaja, this and that," is not making a valid argument, because more often than not, these people are totally missing the point. So, using the tools doesn't make you spiritual, just like picking up a hammer and swinging it around will not make you a carpenter. It's dependent on the certain results you can achieve with this. If you're a carpenter, you can achieve the results with those tools. Take away his hammer and he'll still produce something decent, just by being creative. And I think the same goes for spirituality. It's not about meditation, crystals, etc., but about what you achieve with them or with those tools. And achieving things without those tools is perfectly possible. So, in my view, as we just heard, the people who keep emphasizing that they are spiritual probably aren't so spiritual. Others get stuck in the same stuff as in religion, like dogma, For instance, stating that spirituality is to be sought within only, or that a certain theory is the one and only truth. All philosophies that are merely interpretations of it, created by people with imperfect senses and therefore imperfect interpretations always. Spirituality is in my opinion found both within yourself as around you, or in relation to the world around you. As you go within and catch a glimpse of the unity that is the all, the distinction becomes less defined also, in my opinion. As you start to realize it is all one, or that it is all you, depending on how you look at it. This is also the point, by the way, where spiritual hubris is a real pitfall. As you realize that all is one, in other words, that it is all you, some people tend to confuse themselves with the all or God or whatever, instead of with a small but essential part of it. So, or as Hermeticism states, the all is in all, but all are not the all. Likewise, the all is in the earthworm, but the earthworm is not the all. They make things very clear in Hermeticism always. Especially in the Kabbalion, that's a 1912 book on Hermetic philosophy, which I really love. It has personally helped me forward a lot within my journey, and I definitely recommend you read it. And I'm definitely going to give attention to the subject of Hermeticism in one or more separate episodes coming up. You just observe people and life in general and acknowledge stuff without forming an opinion about it, whether something is right or whether something is wrong. Withhold judgment, so to speak. If you keep that up long enough, it will become effortless and second nature not to do so, just as it is effortless and second nature at the moment to do so. So, another tip I have for you seekers is Alan Watts. His philosophical lectures can be quite a journey, and I'd recommend you listen to his stuff. I'll post some links in the description, as always. In spirituality, you go within to explore questions like, who am I? What is the self? What is this observer of my thoughts and my actions? Who is this observer? What concepts and beliefs do I hold? And more importantly, why do I hold those beliefs? And what emotions do I experience? And why do I feel those emotions? To summarize, being very aware and very mindful of all the processes and thoughts that happen within you and that go on inside your mind. And then you go outside, meaning relating to the world around you, to actually put this stuff into practice. This is an essential part of being spiritual, in my opinion. Not doing so would be like learning a trade and never practicing that trade. So, going outside entails being mindful of your surroundings, naturally, and not judging, as I said earlier already, and being loving, or expressing loving kindness, as the Buddhists would call it, to everyone around you, and just try to help every person you meet in life, help them to grow whenever you can, and vicariously you will do the same to yourself. And in short, it's just being aware and being empathic. It all boils down, in my opinion, to taking a helicopter view of yourself, or a third-person view of your ego, actually, to be more specific, and constantly asking yourself, why? Why am I doing this? Why am I thinking this? Why am I saying this? Wanting this, etc., etc. Which, for some reason, is easier when you ask it from a third person's perspective. So you look at yourself and ask, why is he or she doing this, thinking this, yada yada yada. That is what death of the ego really means, in my opinion. It is not to be taken literal. I mean, the ego is the solar plexus, and you can't live without it. You need it to function in this 3D world, and to be functional inside a body. So it means, in my opinion, going a level up, so you can observe your ego separate from it and from yourself as an observer. So it doesn't end there, by the way. You can keep doing this and keep taking steps back and looking at the observer of the observer of the observer, etc., till you find out that your ego is kind of an illusion. in the same manner, we see that truth is very relative. Only half-truths exist actually, and they are always reconcilable with their polar opposites. Now this might sound strange, but it is true. The perceptive listener might recognize Hermetic philosophy again, and they are right. It's the Hermetic principle of polarity, and duality therefore. Interacting with the world, within this dimension, it's like looking in a mirror actually, and everything you say or do and act is reflected back to you quite directly actually, and ergo everything that happens to you is all the responsibility of only one person, and that's you. Now this might be hard to hear for some, but in the end it's only very empowering to know so, of course, if you think about it. So when you talk to a person, for instance, you are in a way talking to yourself, because we are all one, we are all the same thing experiencing itself from different viewpoints, and in this dimension you exist only in relation to that which surrounds you, to that to which you relate. If there's nothing to relate to or be relative to, you cease to exist theoretically. And if you think about it, this holds true. This is where understanding and rising above duality starts, in my opinion. One of the bases of spirituality is realizing that duality is a necessary element to experience anything. There cannot be, there cannot be love without hate, for instance, and there cannot be hot without cold, and there cannot be good without evil likewise. So, in essence, these polar opposites are the same thing. Just like hot and cold are both temperature, only differing in the relation they have to each other. Now I'll close this episode with an interesting exercise which you can apply to your daily life. So as you go about your day, try to be aware of your own energy field, which extends around you in a circular fashion. Look up the shape on the internet if it helps you, but it is not necessary. Now, just as you are aware of your bodily sensations, as you feel where your little toe is located, for instance, and what it senses, in short, just as you sense your body, try to expand that sensation to a circular field around you. Try to sense your own energy as it whirls around your body, and as you keep practicing this, as you keep putting focus on it and energy on this, you will start to develop these senses and become more and more aware of their sensations as a result. And to increase this positive energy, a good method is doing acts of kindness, for instance. Just decide to do at least one such act of kindness a day, or 3 if you can, without expecting anything in return. You will soon feel the difference, and on that note we're going to end this episode. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so, and click on the little bell icon as well, so you'll always be notified when a new episode is released. I will appreciate it very much, and I'll promise to tell you more interesting stuff. Also, please share your experiences with me in the comments. I love reading them, and I love seeing how this all unfolds in your lives, and I always try to respond. So, questions are welcome too, of course, or episode suggestions. And finally, please share too, so that you might give a new perspective to someone who needs it at the moment. Then that's one act of kindness already. Now in the next episode I will be showing some footage of Ed May, who was chief scientist at the Stargate program with the CIA, attempting to spy on the Russians by means of remote viewing. The episode after that will be a new chapter in our series on evidence for extraterrestrials. So don't worry, that's going on too. Until the next one, love you all, bye bye.